Hello there, EDAP 689ers. You are receiving this video because you have signed up for a course by conference to complete the EDAP 689 class, otherwise known as the easiest class you'll ever have to take. It truly is. And I actually think it's a lot of fun. The way it works is this. Here's your course modules located right here. And first thing I'm going to ask you to do is to look at these two documents. One's a video and one's a PowerPoint about what a professional learning network is. The tagline that I used when I created this course was you can't have PLCs without PLNs, meaning you can't have a professional learning group without each teacher having their own professional learning network. PLNs were all the rage, still are, really, back 5-10 years ago. So I created this course as a way for teachers to have an opportunity to build something that they could then leverage in their classrooms to receive information about their profession that was outside of their district, sort of, if you want to use a harsh term, propaganda. How about resources that they then could share? Now, this is before the whole Google Classroom had sort of exploded on the scene. I went ahead and left this in a wiki format. We'll be using PBWorks because I felt that it's so easy to link the two. In other words, put the link to the PLN into your Google Classroom if you want to. I could see if you had a Google Classroom that was the place where you shared with the other teachers on your team, and it wasn't for kids, it was for teachers only. I could see how you might want to use a Google Sites to connect it to that classroom. But they both work the same way. If I wanted to connect a Google Sites to a Google Classroom that I was sharing with my other members of my team, I would just copy the link and put it in there. If I were going to use a PBWorks wiki and I would do the same thing, I would just copy the link and put it in there. The other reason why I decided to go with PBWorks wikis is they're actually simpler to use than the Google Sites. Boy, I hate, that almost sounds like heresy these days, but it truly is. And it's a very simple, fun way of building, using a tool to create your professional learning network. Your first, and what I've broken them down into is just 4 straightforward, simple tools. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to build that wiki, and it's going to be called Who I Am. You will be reading a lot of stuff, and that's all right here. Every one of these has a video set up within the module for you to watch to explain how to do it. Module 2 is putting a Twitter feed into your wiki. As much as we have grown to either embrace or hate the Twitter, it is still a very valuable tool for finding people out there on the web who are important people to be listening to. And so that's why I've left the Twitter in here. And so again, there's a video here that explains how to do it. Who I listen to. This one's kind of, you could say it's a little bit esoteric, but I still strongly believe in the ideas behind RSS, which is what podcasts are based upon, but it's also what blogs are based upon. RSS was created by a young man. It's a wonderful, sad story. A young man by the name of Dave Weiner. He was a prodigy. He was already going to college when he was at the age of a sophomore in high school. He went to university at MIT. He invented RSS, Real Simple Syndication. And what it is it's an XML code that allows you to subscribe to content that someone has put on the web, And then as they add new content to it, it sends you a notification that says, hey, so-and-so has put new content up here. Dave Weiner was a real believer in open source. He was a true believer in the idea that all information should be free and open to everybody. And so one of the things that he did when he was at MIT is he started putting out there through a blog all the research that the various professors were doing at MIT. Well, that kind of rubbed folks the wrong way. And then Dave went and actually started posting out the work that they were doing for the Defense Department. Now remember, this guy is a sophomore. He's the age of a sophomore in high school. Well, by this time, he's a junior, senior age high school. He's a kid. The government went after him. MIT went after him. And he eventually ended up killing himself. But RSS still lives on. It is what is behind every single podcast you listen to. And so in this module, we basically ask you to do a little research. Find stuff out there that you would listen to on a regular basis that has to do with what you teach, your PLN. Sorry for that long rant, but I think it's a really important story. Finally, we get to go play with where I go for resources. We used to do this with multiple websites that we could use. Digo was one. But, you know, we finally settled on Pinterest because it's just, it's so easy to use, and it's very easy to embed. The whole point of this is all of these things that you'll be doing, the RSS, the Twitter, they all live in your wiki. They all will update through your wiki. So therefore, you have just one place that you have to go to see all of these different ideas that are out there, and that is the wiki that you're creating. When we talk about where I go for resources in Pinterest, we're talking about digital curation. And of course, if you have a Pinterest account, you know all about it. The power of the Pinterest, I think, is in the fact that you have so many different ways that you can use it. When I look at my Pinterest account, there's everything in there from building furniture to technology and education to gardening to, you get the idea. It can be anything. All you're doing in here is you're going to find you're going to create a board that you would use for finding the stuff that you want to have in your classroom. And my goodness gracious, if you're a classroom teacher and you don't have a Pinterest account, all the amazing resources that are available for free out there that people post to Pinterest, it's well worth your effort to put one together. Finally, here's the hat, which is, frankly, stupidly simple. You're just basically responding to these 3 questions. Yes, 3. Put those in your assignment, or you can use, there's a template in the assignment that you can just download, fill out, and re-upload. Folio Tech, let's talk about it for a second. One of the things that I find rather confusing right now is my college hasn't figured out what they're doing with Folio Tech in terms of is it going to be for every single class, blah, blah, blah. I go ahead and put the link in here anyway. If you go in and check and see if your Folio Tech has this class listed, fine, you know what to do. You basically put the same URL that you're going to put in the assignments, like right here. Paste the copy and paste the URL to your PBWorks wiki into the Blackboard assignment. You're going to basically do that, and then you're going to, if you have to, do the same thing in Folio Tech. Just copy and paste. You're not doing any other work. Just copy and paste the URL. All of your writing, all of your links, and all of your stuff is in that wiki. And as I said, here is the you can do the assignment in here. In other words, you can just come in here and type in these answers, or you can use, here is a template. As always, anything in here that you run into, that you have a question about, you don't understand, Steve wrote something stupid, you are to immediately get on your phone, text me at 502-457-2937. If you're still having trouble understanding how to create anything that's in here, and one of the things you have to realize is when you start talking about these kinds of apps and these kinds of websites, they're a moving target. They have to be. They're consumer-based. And so things change. So if you try to do something like, say, put a Twitter feed in here, we did this just last summer. So it should be fairly current. But if it doesn't work, yell. And if we have to, we could meet up in the Collaborate and do it live together. We can work together. Same thing with the RSS. The RSS is a little tricky to find. The video shows you how to do it. And when you put them in, they work fine. They have no problems whatsoever. They will show up in your wiki. Because frankly, it's fairly old technology. Finally, the Pinterest, same thing. The thing about Pinterest that you want to do is I don't want your entire Pinterest account. Please, God, no. Especially if you have one that is as big as mine is. You're just going to put the board in, and you'll see what that is when you actually get into it. You probably already know what it means. So if you need help with any of this stuff, we meet up in the collab, your time, your date, and we will work on it together. I am here all summer, and that's what I'm here for. I'm here to help you. You should be able to knock this out easily within a week. Easily within a week. Like I said, it's the easiest 3 hours you'll ever have. It was designed that way. This is not an easy peasy underwater basket weaving class. It was designed this way because the idea was that you could then leverage this back into your classroom. And now with the Google Classroom, I think more and more we need to be looking at developing PLNs that we can share with our fellow educators. Okay, as I said, any questions, 502-457-2937. Welcome to EDAP 689, Developing Your Own PLN.